Yeah, so I'm in Gen Z. I think the range for Gen Z is like 1997 through 2012, but it kind of varies depending on your source. So kind of in the middle towards the start of that. But yeah, Gen Z is the youngest generation in the workplace. There's 5 generations currently in the workplace. I think I've heard some of these biases for Gen Z of like saying Gen Z is lazy, Gen Z doesn't show up. So I think a lot of that comes with kind of this knowledge that Gen Z grew up in the digital age. So we're connected to our devices. We've grown up with social media. Maybe our attention spans are shorter because of that. So I do feel like there's maybe some truth in these biases, but I don't think as a whole they're true. Obviously, I think it's a lot. It comes down to the individual, and like I kind of touched on earlier, it's meaningful work will bring Gen Z to the table. So I think if you can reach Gen Z and either get to know them as an individual or kind of empower them in a meaningful way with what they're working on, you'll find out they're not lazy, they're quite driven, they'll show up and perform well. I feel like success at work to me is, kind of at an elementary level, just executing on deliverables, reaching goals, and I think that's probably consistent across all generations. But I do think going beyond that, I feel like maybe this is characteristic of Gen Z, but for me, I really feel that success when I connect like company goals or project goals with a personal goal of mine. So how can I see how I'm contributing, and also how can my contribution to the company or the project help me grow in my career? So kind of bridging that gap is what brings the meaningfulness to me, and that may be more characteristic of Gen Z, maybe spread across all. When I'm thinking about a boss or my manager, I would say I look for someone who's an advocate, someone who shows up consistently for me, someone who's invested in my growth and who I am as a person, what are my personal goals along with professional. So I do really want someone who takes the time to get to know me, who sets up kind of like a consistent structure where we can touch base, and also I want someone who I do have that connection. I do know them a little bit on a personal level, so we're able to have this foundation of trust, so that way they can encourage me, they can also give me more critical feedback, and we can potentially help each other grow. I think first and foremost, people can just approach each other as people. So I don't know if maybe it can be scary for someone from a different generation to approach or interact with someone else, but I think it's just remembering that we're all individuals, and in a career setting, we're all kind of working towards a common goal or our own goals. And so just knowing someone on a personal level and maybe establishing that trust can build a framework to allow connections to grow and to foster a working relationship that works. I think one instance, because I was asked when I was on a panel about generations in the workplace, was like, how do we draw Gen Z in? How do we get them involved and empower them? And I think one thing that I've read about is a term called reverse mentorship, which is where you can pair a younger professional with someone who's more experienced and have them kind of mentor back and forth, because there's a lot to learn on either side, and then it can bring that meaningful work to that Gen Z individual in that relationship.